Afternoon breaking news as we come on the air now in the Hunter Biden tax fraud case. Hunter's longtime defense attorney, Christopher Clark, is asking a federal judge in Delaware if he can now withdraw from the case. The notice indicates he says he could be a witness in coming challenges over that collapsed plea deal with the DOJ. We'll continue to follow the breaking details on that major story. Also today, former President Trump and his 18 co-defendants are ordered to surrender to that sweeping indictment handed down by a Georgia grand jury by August the 25th. Folks, that is next Friday. It is Trump's fourth criminal indictment in as many months. And welcome into Newsline. I'm Bianca Della Garza. Trump was charged with 13 felony counts by Fulton County DA Fani Willis, including violating Georgia's RICO law, which stands for Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations. Take a listen to Willis yesterday outlining her case.
The defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result. Do I intend to try the 19 defendants in this indictment together? Yes.
There you have it. Now, Trump's arraignment date in Fulton County has not been set yet, but there is some indication this appearance will be very different from previous ones in New York, Florida, and Washington, D.C. Earlier this month, the Fulton County sheriff told a local news outlet that Trump likely will pose for a mugshot because they say he will be treated like any other person. Our own John Huddy right now joins us live outside the Fulton County Courthouse in Atlanta with more on the charges and what's ahead now. John, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Bianca. And that sheriff, Pat Labatt of Fulton County, said that Mr. Trump, when he is arraigned here behind me at the Fulton County Courthouse, will indeed have his mugshot taken. And that remains a big question when that will happen. Unlikely this week, simply because, and I'm just guessing here, I'm speculating, but simply because a lot goes into the security measures that are undertaken. The Secret Service has to work with local police. I'll get to that in a moment. But as far as this 98-page, 41-count indictment, yes, it was handed up to the judge overseeing the case, Robert McBurney, late last night by the Fulton County grand jury here, and then it was unsealed and released to the public late yesterday evening by the DA, Fani Willis. It charges former President Trump and the 18 others with counts including racketeering, as you mentioned, the violation of the RICO Act, forgery, tampering with a witness intimidation, obstruction of justice, the list goes on. And among those 18 others who were indicted, they include his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, members of his campaign team, members of his legal team, Sidney Powell, John Eastman, Rudy Giuliani, which is extraordinary, Bianca, because Rudy Giuliani became famous as U.S. attorney for going after the mob, taking down the mafia in New York on the RICO charges, on racketeering charges, and now he's facing the same charges himself. Now, the indictment lays out what's called the enterprise. You heard Fani Willis say that. You see that word throughout this 98-page document. It's talking about the criminal enterprise and the acts, the efforts engaged by former President Trump and the 18 others, and also 30 other co-conspirators mentioned or talked about in this indictment to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Here's what Willis said late yesterday evening, just before midnight, about the charges and the indictment. Listen.
Specifically, the participants in association took various actions in Georgia and elsewhere to block the counting of the votes of the presidential electors who were certified as the winners of Georgia's 2020 general election.
Now, it not only talks about the case here in Georgia, but also those alleged efforts in other states as well. In a statement following the indictment, former President Trump's legal team here in Georgia called the day's events, quote, shocking and absurd, and accused DA Willis of building her case on witnesses who harbor their own personal and political interests, quote unquote. Now, a special grand jury, you may recall, last year interviewed 75 witnesses as part of the investigation. Several witnesses appeared here at the Fulton County courthouse to testify before the grand jury yesterday, including the former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan. Now, former President Trump has taken to his Truth Social, as he often does, posting several messages today, one simply saying witch hunt, another talking about not only the witch hunt, but also election interference. We've heard that a lot. DA Willis was asked about that last night by one of the reporters in attendance. She responded, "I make decisions in this office based on the facts and the law. The law is completely nonpartisan." Obviously, there's a lot of contention about that. Former President Trump also on Truth Social posted a message about a quote-unquote news conference he will be holding Monday in Bedminster, New Jersey. Again, as far as the criminal arraignment, the difference between what's going to happen here and the other cases is, one, cameras are allowed in the courtroom. Two, he will likely get his mugshot taken. But keep in mind that security will be incredibly tight. As I mentioned, remember, I drove with the Trump motorcade in that first indictment in Miami. They shut down I-95. They shut down the roadways from the Trump Doral in Trump International in Doral to the courthouse in downtown Miami. So the Secret Service has to work with local law enforcement on security measures. That will obviously take some time to coordinate that. Bianca, back to you.
John Huddy live outside the Fulton County Courthouse for us in Atlanta today with the breaking news and reaction that's coming in on next steps in Trump's fourth indictment. John, great to see you. Thank you. Joining us now, Kimberly Guilfoyle with reaction and also some legal analysis to all of this. Kimberly, great to have you in today.
Thank you.
RICO charges, 19 defendants altogether. Kind of weigh in on what that's going to look like for Fani Willis.
Well, it's a disaster and it's a sham. She's really using this for her own political purposes and advancements and fundraising off of this. She's one of four sham, investigations and indictments. They, jumped the shark and released on the docket actually the indictment before it even came out. So then she had to do the dog and pony show, last night. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And John Gotti, okay, can you imagine RICO, violations? John Gotti never even had 4 indictments at once. There's no mob boss, let alone they do this to President Trump because they're worried that they can't beat him in the ballot box in 2024. And they want to go ahead and use this lawfare, weaponize the system against Joe Biden's primary political opponent. That's what this is. You talk about collusion with all these different people putting these indictments forward at the same time before this election.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about what you brought up, too, because there was that issue yesterday where there was something released by the clerk's office and they then said, well, this is fictitious, even though there was actually a docket and a case number. A lot of people said more needs to be done to look into that. We had Alan Dershowitz on our air. Here's what he had to say about sort of what went down even before this grand jury vote, Kimberly. Let's listen to that.
But it is just the appearance of justice is so compromised when a website announces an indictment, presumably before the grand jury voted.
Definitely strange. And, people are concerned when you hear the word criminal enterprise. People are saying, where's the investigation into Joe Biden, the Biden family business, that this is not this is the story that the media is going to go all over, Trump indictment number 4. But there's serious questions about the sitting president.
Yeah, there really are, but no one wants to look at that, because they're all in on it. They're the ones that are conspiring. And if you look at this indictment, you try to take it apart, it's a sham. They say apparently, advocating for signature verification, meaning can we please have signature verification to make sure that these are, legal, lawful, valid votes, 1 vote per person. That should be a bipartisan issue. But these are all crimes according to Fani Willis. And one of the acts as well that is listed in the indictment is literally a tweet from Donald Trump about how the Georgia hearings were on television. How is that in any way a criminal activity? But according to Fani Willis, it is. Every call, every speech, every tweet appears as a criminal step in the conspiracy. And this just isn't legally valid. But who knows what a biased jury pool in Georgia and Fulton County is going to do. I hope that they actually dismiss this outright, because this is there's no substance to it. There was no tampering with the election or trying to suppress electors or anything like that.
I think it's also important when we hear indictments, indictments are piling up, that these are regular people. The grand jury comes in together and they are are voting based upon what witnesses the DA selects. The defense is not involved in any of this. And there was also that bizarre media tour that we heard from Emily Kors back in February. She went all over mainstream public media talking about why she wanted to see Trump testify. Let's play this to refresh everyone's memory.
But honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
This is the grand jury. And people need to see that.
It's painful. Yeah, they do, because that's what's going on here. This is a total joke, okay? It's like a circus, like Ringling Brothers called. They want their circus back. This is Valley Girl justice. Do you hear like, oh my God, like totally. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's someone that we think is going to be fair to President Trump, because there's just no integrity left in our justice system at this moment in time. It's basically crashed and burned under Joe Biden and under every left-wing lunatic and Merrick Garland and this weaponized justice system and all of these prosecutors and judges conspiring to go ahead and try to stop President Trump. This is a sad day for the American justice system and for the American people who deserve better than this banana republic. It is, quite frankly, as a former officer of the court and a prosecutor, I find it disgraceful and disgusting, and it's a miscarriage of justice. I pray for the president. He's a strong man. He's meeting this head on, and all that's happening now is the momentum is building and he is gaining support because the American people have seen enough of this.
Well, let's see what happens if the mugshot happens, how many T-shirts will be made. I know we've had a lot of discussions about that, and he's certainly not afraid of that. There was breaking news when we came on the air, Kimberly. I want to get your reaction because we reported on Friday how David Weiss is now special counsel. But another development today in the Hunter Biden tax case, his attorney, Christopher Clark, saying he needs to be taken off the case because he may now be a witness. Do you read anything into that of, this possible deal now? We know it's at an impasse. Is that significant that Clark wants to be removed? I mean, obviously, Hunter has a lot of attorneys, Abby Lowell being one of them. He's not losing, he's not going to lose his legal team. But Christopher Clark, what does that signal to you?
Well, it shows that there's problems and dissension in the ranks. This was a whole, sweetheart deal for Hunter Biden because it's a two-tier justice system. Nothing to see when it's the Biden crime family and syndicate, but let's try to pin everything on President Trump. Hunter Biden should be facing much more charges. In fact, there's still investigations, going on. But I'll tell you, a reckoning is coming in 2024 because we need to restore integrity to these justice institutions so that we don't have prosecutors cutting sweetheart deals for criminals while trying to persecute an innocent former president of the United States. It's a problem here that we need to face in this country. And I look forward to President Trump being reelected and fixing the DOJ and the IRS, the CIA, all of the above, because it is unconscionable that this is happening in this country at this time. It's obvious election interference.
Kimberly Guilfoyle, good to have you in. Thanks for your analysis.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.